That's what all the cows, and they said,
Mike,
and, you know,
and Mark Ward's here too, so.
Yeah, I saw him. I see Gary. I just couldn't see Mike.
because this council said,
I can probably produce one more chair.
I don't care.
What's that?
I can produce one more chair for
Business,
There's one over here. Do we
they
need
don't give a shit.
You want revenue, tax revenue, obviously, but yeah, you want a real mystique of the,
Mine says it's not connected.
why people come here.
60 people that live on the freaking lake.
And my speakers are off.
House knowing.
My microphone says it won't connect.
That's my feeling.
This will be the biggest hearing we've had
That's
since I've been on the
my,
council.
that's my feeling.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd be very, very hard pressed to vote for changing the zoning.
Because this is just the public hearing, right? So then we vote on the next meeting. Is that what-
If we decide to.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
If there's any more, there's just that field one behind.
That's my feeling. It's big. Whatever it is, what it is. Whatever, it's a council, and that's what the council is. Yeah.
You'll do it.
No, I don't.
Actually, you're connected.
Which one is it?
Just walk
Yes.
by.
Okay, we're getting ready to.
In the letter today.
What? What's
Hey Dale,
Dale, you ready?
sit down.
Michigan State's winning apparently.
What's that? Regular council meeting for June 12th, 2023. Pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
With disclosure of conflicts of interest. Is there any?
I don't believe there is.
Roll call. Dale Macklin,
Here.
Jerry Guerian, Ray Karen,
Here.
Joseph Gravel,
Here.
Jeff West,
Here?
Lee Trahan, and Peter Droppo.
Here.
Okay, we have approval of minutes from May 8th.
I make a motion we approve our minutes from May 8th, May 15th, and May 30th.
Second? Oh, you're, never mind. Yeah, second.
Raymond.
Okay, so that's Ray and Jerry. For all of them?
Yep.
Dale Macklin,
Yes.
Jerry Guerian,
Yes.
Ray Karen,
Yes.
Joseph Gravel,
Yes.
Jeff West,
Yes.
Lee Trahan,
Yes.
and Peter Droppo.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
It's on the marijuana.
Is it different than this one?
That is the letter that was just provided by the Robies. That, I'm sorry, I just gave you the wrong thing.
It's the agenda.
I need the agenda.
Okay.
I apologize.
Okay, for communications, employee recognition.
Good evening, council members and town manager Erica. That was on me tonight. I wanted to recognize my new foreman, Trevor Tucker. He was able to take and pass a 5-day class put on by MMA and the American Public Works Association. So Trevor's here tonight somewhere, right behind me. I just want to congratulate him for passing the class. It's a pretty tough class. It covers everything from talking to the media, liability, and paving, and all the stuff that goes with public works. So just wanted to recognize them for taking the class, and I know some of you council members may not know Trevor, so this is Trevor, he's going to be following you all. Congratulations.
Well done.
We don't get too many clapping at the meeting, so it's nice to have a little bit.
Good evening, full house. I'd like to ask Chaplain Wayne Getty to come up, please. I know this isn't easy for him to take, because he's a pretty modest guy, but he's retiring after 12 years of service to the police department and fire department, and I have nothing but great things to say. I can't tell you how many times, just in the last 3 years I've been here, but over the last 12 years, he's come out in the worst of worst situations. He's had to deal with firefighters in bad times, police officers in bad times, people that are victimized, everything you can think of bad, he comes out and helps us out with. So we've got a plaque here. We want to thank him. It says, "With great honor and deep appreciation that we commend our deepest gratitude to Chaplain Wayne Denny for 12 years of exceptional service to the Winslow Fire Department and Police Department." So thank you very much. And it's his anniversary, and he came out on his anniversary. So we want to thank his wife also for letting him come out all these times to help us. So thank you. And the second one I had was a plaque for Officer Jonathan Chasey. He is working right now. I don't think he made it up here, but he did make it through the police academy, which is quite an endeavor. So we just wanted to honor him, so we'll give him this plaque. But we've finally got one more person back. We've been shorthanded, so this will really help us out. So I just want to say what a great job to him to get through 18 weeks of torture. Thank you.
Is that it?
I think so.
A presentation for Go NetSpeed by Heidi Maloney. Maybe have those down.
10 minutes, yeah.
Good evening. I wasn't expecting this many people here. This is very exciting. My name is Heidi Mahoney. I work with Go NetSpeed, which is a fiber internet provider. I've spoken with Erica and wanted to come here and chat with you folks about the build that we're doing in Waterville and Winslow. That's happening now, and we're looking to provide competitive fiber internet to all the constituents in both of those towns, and is looking like we're going to have that available for folks to sign up if they wish by the end of next month. And I wanted to make sure I was here to answer any questions that anybody might have, either from the council or from the public.
What's your timeline?
Sure. So we started the process back in 2021. We're looking to have it ready for people to sign up at the end of next month. We're building past 5,000 locations throughout both towns with 60 miles of fiber, all aerial. We haven't done any underground work. I'm guessing some people may have seen trucks out there doing work. I'm hoping you haven't heard a lot of complaints. I haven't heard anything, so I'm guessing that that's gone pretty well. Our prices are listed here, and you can go onto the website to see whether or not your particular area it's available for. Any other questions? Yes.
I myself haven't heard too much about this because I am probably computer illiterate. But
That's
I'm
okay.
assuming you're gonna get enough information out there to the public so that they know about it, that this is available to them?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we pride ourselves on is our customer service and being a part of the communities that we're in. We know a lot of people have only had one option for a internet provider for a long time. So this gives people another option, and we're hosting events at the end of this month. I think one in Waterville right now, and I haven't heard anything about Winslow at the moment. So if anybody has any great events that we can be a part of with the community, feel free to reach out to Erica's office. She has my contact information.
Also, we'll make sure any launch materials you have, we can make sure that that's announced on our social media when it's ready.
Absolutely.
Not that we're, just to make it clear, we're not promoting any one internet provider, but there are options out there, and there haven't been, so it's good for people to know as new services come into the area that there are other
Yeah,
things
thank you.
out
I'll
there.
make sure you have that information.
On the map, is it the yellow?
Yeah, so it's actually,
Okay.
that's, thank you for asking that. You could ignore the colors per se on the map. The blue is actually where we are currently live. The yellow is our sections that we're opening up, but they haven't done finished the testing yet, which is why it's not until the end of next month. So we open those in segments. So the blue that you see on the map is complete, and then the yellow is what is going to be complete by the end of next month. Yes, sir.
Question that I have is, where's your home base?
We have a couple of different home bases. I work out of the office that's at Pineland Farms in New Gloucester, and we have an office in Bangor as well. But we do provide services throughout New England and in Alabama, Missouri, and Pennsylvania also.
Since you pointed out that you're aerial,
Yes.
how are you gonna get across the river?
Well, we'll have two different remote sites, one in Winslow and one in Waterville, so they won't have to cross.
You also approved as a council the conduit across the 2-cent bridge. Last year now, I think it's been about a year. Between Waterville and Winslow, we approved the lease for them to lease the conduit on the 2-cent bridge.
Is that going to be fiber to the home?
Yes, sir.
It is.
Yep, so we'll be passing the 5,000 homes, and then people can decide whether they want to take that service or not, and from there, we'll set up a time to come and install in their house. There's no charge for installation, and we don't have contract fees.
What I mean by that, are you going to run the white cable into the home, or are you going to translate at the pole?
We'll bring it into the home.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
The name of the company and the website?
It's GoNet Speed, and the website is gonetspeed.com.
And is it only internet or is it?
It is only internet. We do have partnerships with like DirecTV, for example. There are some people who really like the feel of having, the television with the remote and the box. So we do have a partnership with them, but it's just straight internet. We do, and that actually brings up another point. We do like to host like cutting the cord classes, things like that in the community, so people, understand that it's not the same as cable. Yeah, that's a good question.
Question.
Yes.
How long before you do the rest of the town, or is that something in the future?
Yeah,
I see it
so,
doesn't, the China Road out that way, there's no,
so the end of, oh, you mean where it's not colored in?
Yeah.
So you can look at this as like a phase one. We definitely like to try to do any aerial deployments first. If it goes well and we get a good take rate, because it is a privately funded company, so we need to be able to have the return on investment to expand. Then we would go into sort of a phase two where we would look at, doing any underground or more remote areas. Yeah. Timing wise on that, I don't have an answer for you though.
all right, thank you.
Any other questions? Great.
Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you.
You got a one, right? I was gonna give you one of these, but. Thank you,
Okay, boards and committee appointments, we have quite a few this evening. I'll go one at a time, I guess. We have Peter Nato, who is for this.
Hold on a minute. People in the audience are talking, and I think it's rude.
Make an announcement.
Huh?
Yeah, you can write it down.
Can everybody in the audience please listen to the people talking up here?
Can you use a microphone so
No,
we can
we
hear
can't
you?
hear you.
Because then
Oh.
we would be more respectful and listen.
I apologize if you can't hear me, just let. let me know. So boards and committee appointments, Peter Netto for the Safety Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Dale Macklin,
Yes.
Jerry Querian,
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West,
Yes.
Lee Trahan,
Yes.
and Peter Drapo.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Through the chair, can we take these all as one?
You could.
I move we
If
take all.
anybody objects, then you have to split them out, but if everybody is okay with that, you can, yes.
I move that we take all
Is there a second?
appointments as one.
Okay,
We need to vote on whether they're willing to do that.
okay. So on the motion to take all appointments as one, Dale Macklin,
Yes.
Jerry Querian,
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan,
Yes.
and Peter Drapo.
Yes.
So then the remaining appointments, we have Sally Harwood for the Agricultural Committee, Kate Newkirk for Agricultural Committee, William Boucher for the Kennebec Sanitary District, and Chris Daw for the Planning Board.
So moved.
Second.
And Dale Macklin,
Yes.
and Jerry Querian,
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan,
Yes.
and Peter Drapo.
Yes.
So passes 7-0. Reports of committees and commissions. Town managers report.
Thank you, Audra. Esteemed members of the council, Mr. Lee, month of May was a really busy month with meetings, personnel changes, a software upgrade, contaminated water, and a major storm. So we were all kept pretty busy in the town office as we attempted to meet everyone's needs with our limited resources. And overall, I think we did. The microphones actually, I don't believe, Chad, go to everybody. They're more for the people.
We have the speakers in the room, but we just can't get it any louder.
Yeah, so
Can that can't be moved?
I don't think it's the proximity that's the problem. Unfortunately, the new code enforcement officer chose to relinquish his position with no notice on May 16th. While that's caused a lot of rumors in the town, I can't comment on personnel issues. Those are private to the individual that's concerned there, but what I can tell you is that he left of his own accord. This was not due to him being dismissed by anyone in the town or otherwise pressured to leave. The biggest unfortunate part of it, other than the fact that the position is open again, is that it left us in a lurch during the height of construction season with no one certified to issue permits or perform inspections. This obviously resulted in frustration for our citizens and for contractors in the area. Luckily, we have our former CEO, Amos Michaud. He has graciously agreed to help us out on a part-time basis throughout the summer. He won't have that time available in his schedule come fall, but he said he will be here throughout the summer and including when we get a new candidate to help break them in. But he's only here Monday through Thursday, 8 to noon. So with his limited time, he's going to be triaging the most important issues. Permits, inspections, those take priority over everything else. Property maintenance complaints will be the lowest priority, and I know that's caused some angst for some people because that's a new ordinance. But if we have any property maintenance complaints that constitute an immediate public health or safety issue, those will be addressed. So make sure you're still calling them in. Amos will not be taking on our planning board duties in the interim. Katie Philbrick and I will be attempting to cover those duties as best as we can with some assistance with our esteemed attorney, Bill Lee. So I appreciate everyone's patience while we work through this time. I will say as an update to this, as of today, I do have an experienced code officer coming in to meet with me on Wednesday of this week and hope that will pan out, but we never can tell, but at least I've got him coming in and then we have one other application from someone without the experience, so we should be able to at least fill the position. We also had a major water system event. KWD's infrastructure was infiltrated by fire suppression foam as a result of a major fire in Waterville. While most of the vast majority of the system did remain safe, KWD did issue a do not drink order out of an abundance of caution. I want to say that I think our staff did an excellent job of responding to the sudden crisis. We kept the latest up-to-date information coming out on our website and Facebook pages. Our fire department and our public works department procured 4 pallets of bottled water. And I want to say thank you to Poland Springs for that. They donated that water free of charge. And we were able to pass that water out to our residents. As we know, though, we can always have an opportunity for improvement. And one thing that we definitely need to do better, although this really wasn't the town's event, the onus was on Kennebec Water District. However, when there's a major event like this, we do need to be able to notify our residents as quickly as possible. And although we have Facebook and we have the website, people kind of need to know to be looking for that. So how do we get the word out quicker? Right now, I am looking at a couple of different systems. One I had already had on my docket to interview with, which was go.gov. That's the system that Kennebec County Emergency Management Service uses. Only problem with that is you have to download the app and sign up. So for people not using their cell phones, that's probably not all that helpful. Reverse E911 may become an option in the future. That's a system that dials out to all community residents when there's a major event. Right now, that's not available to us because our comm center isn't a PSAP right now. We're moving back to Waterville comm because Somerset County declined now all non-county municipalities. So going back to Waterville, we will have that coming in the future. It's pretty much a done deal that they will become a PSAP again, but they aren't yet. So until they are, we don't have reverse E911 available to us, but that's certainly an option for going down the road. Then we also have another system that the school uses, which we're investigating. It's kind of specific to the school, but there's no information that says we can't use them, so we'll investigate that. And then another company actually happened to show up in my inbox today with a sales call that also does mass communications for emergency alerts. So just want everybody to know that we are looking at ways to get the word out quicker. And it wouldn't be, I mean, this was a drinking water hazard. It could be any number of different things that happen, road closed due to a water main break or a flood or anything like that happens that people need to know to avoid an area or to take shelter. We are working on that system. So I just want to make sure that people do feel secure that we do have your best interests at heart, and we're working towards solutions for that. On the topic of disasters, FEMA did report to Fort Halifax Park to review the damage that occurred from the flood on May 1st. There were a few of our neighboring communities who certainly had it worse than Winslow did, most notably Skowhegan and Fairfield. They both had some pretty devastating damage, as well as down in Hollowell. But we are the 5th worst in the county at this point. So they are looking at putting us in for reimbursement to get all of the debris cleanup done down there. Paul has been working diligently with the folks from KCEMA and FEMA, and we have DEP coming to review it as well, right? To make sure we have all our I's dotted and our T's crossed and get all the paperwork in. So this is going to be an ongoing effort over the next couple of months, but we should be reimbursed for that effort. The last major event we had in the town office was a financial system upgrade on May 22nd. If you were unfortunate enough to come to the office on May 22nd because your sewer bill was due or your taxes were due, we were closed for the first 2 hours to implement the upgrade, but then we had some glitches for the remainder of the day. So again, I really appreciate that our public was very forgiving. I know there was some frustration out there. To top it off, we also had a glitch with some of our sewer bills that began with account number 55, where it doubled the amount of flow that people had. All of this happening on a day when we can't really fully utilize our financial system to look into everything. We did have things pretty much back online by late that afternoon. I do want to commend our staff up front for remaining calm, doing actually a very good job under pretty intense pressure that day. That's Audra's staff, so they need to know that I appreciate how much they took on. I did buy them pizza that day to try to make up for it, but it was a rough day. So thank you to anybody who came in and bore the brunt of it with us. In project news, contract for the Chaffee Brook Pump Station Force Main River Crossing will be signed June 8th, which was actually last week, and I have signed that. So they're going to start mobilization on that project for construction to actually occur in November. There's only a tiny little window where they can work on the river, but there's a lot of work to be done before then. We are still in the running to receive congressionally directed spending funds for Sunset Heights. Senator Collins was supposed to be in town on June 9th. That's been delayed now till June 26th, but she wants to come look at both Chaffee Brook and the Sunset Heights area because she has been instrumental in pushing forward our congressional earmark funding requests. She kind of wants to see where the money's going, so it's really great that she has been taking such a strong stance for us and that she's advocated for these projects. Taconic Bridge project is ongoing. Daily single lane closures we've been dealing with since April, but now we are starting the nightly full lane closures. It says in my report that it's going to continue through June 15th, but we got another notification just today that it's now going to continue through next week as well. So that means starting at 7 p.m., except for weekends, you're not going to be able to get over to Waterville from Winslow on the Taconic Bridge. At the same time, they have now started working on Carter Memorial Bridge to put in the dedicated right-hand turn lane going on to Carter Memorial coming down Augusta Road. So there's going to be a little bit of pain in that as well, but that is to create much better traffic flow when they get to the full bridge closure that happens all the time, so that we'll have better traffic flow to get people over to Waterville. In staff news, I want to announce we have our first officer trainee. Council approved us trying the officer trainee program a few months back, and we have our first officer coming in on that as a trainee, and we have a new blue pin officer. Both are scheduled to be coming on board June 18th through June 23rd. Dylan Rodriguez is our trainee. He's a National Guardsman. He has to complete one additional requirement before he can go to academy, but this gets him in the door and doing a lot of his classwork and learning ahead of time so he can hit the ground running when he gets to academy. We also will be hiring Craig Johnson. Craig is a tenured law enforcement officer. He's currently working for Somerset County. He's a Winslow resident, so it's always great to get our own in the house when we can, and he looks forward to coming on board with us, so welcome to both of them. We also have job ads out for truck driver, the code enforcement officer, as I mentioned, and tax collector. Unfortunately, we aren't getting a whole lot of responses, so if anyone is aware of people who might be interested in a career in public service, who may have a CDL or just has clerical technical experience, please encourage them to check our website and apply for these jobs. We do have very good benefits, and it is really a good place to work. So that is all I have for now, and I will turn it back over. Thank you all so much.
Through the chair, any update on the junior high environmental study? None? 'Cause
We're still waiting on the final report, but I don't have the numbers to give you on that as far as being able to put together the decommissioning order.
Okay.
Any other department?
I was asked to bring up to speed. We have been looking for bids for pickups, as the council members are aware. I have found 3 pickups with O'Connor's. It would require that we go into Parks and Rec capital budget to pay the balance of it. We're about $17,000 short. We are kind of in a timeline to make a commitment. The trucks, one of them is on the ground, the other 2 are coming in. They're going to be 23 models. And I would just like to get the council up to speed that I basically put a hold on those 3 trucks for July, since they may be gone by then. And if we order something, we may not get them until November, December. So we'll be coming back in July with a council order to transfer those funds. So just to get the council up to speed. Any questions? Boss?
So I don't think we're going to have to actually transfer funds, just to be clear. We put aside $100,000 in the FY24 budget for Public Works to purchase new pickup trucks. We went out to bid for the 2 trucks, but also We're looking for a third because we now have a second foreman, so we really need an additional truck. But that foreman is dedicated part to Public Works and part to Parks. So I believe it's perfectly acceptable to take a portion of the cost of one truck out of the Parks equipment budget. There is money set aside in there for replacement equipment, which includes their trucks. So I really don't think we need to encumber or appropriate any additional funds. It just would need to be partially taken out of that funding source.
And you can just do that.
Yeah, we don't need to move any money.
So you don't need council approval for that.
No, but what we do, we will need to put it on your July agenda to have you actually bless the purchase because you've blessed the budget, but
Will that work within the timeline, Paul, of
It
this?
does. I mean, like I said, one of them is on the ground now, and I guess this morning or Saturday, the other two are still in Indiana. So as they come in, we'll take possession, and I'd rather have them one at a time anyway, so we can swap them over, and,
So they have earmarked them for us?
they have earmarked all three of them for
Okay.
us. So the price is fixed, and unfortunately, we're not getting the deals we got years ago in municipal pricing. We're still getting some fairly decent pricing. And we're trading in the two old ones.
So 17 will cover the cost for all three?
The overage, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. 17 and change or something like that. That's all I had.
Thank you.
If you're all set with me, I will probably go.
thank you, Paul.
Any other department reports? Peter?
Yeah, I'll be brief, but a few important things. 98 students graduated from Winslow High School this past week. Colby College was it was a beautiful ceremony. Our commencement speaker, Brenda Beckwith, highlighted this point as she encouraged the graduates to take stock of what they already have, a community in their corner, friends and family who love them. I couldn't agree more with her thoughts, and I've always felt that the Winslow community takes great pride in their schools, understanding fully that a strong school system makes for a strong community. Just a few things. This is, of course, the last week of school for our students. Last week, tomorrow is the last day for our kindergarten students, and the reason for that is because we have new kindergarten students that come in to do some assessment work. Teachers are going to start working on summer projects at the conclusion of this week. We have students who will be attending summer school. We have various curriculum projects that are going to be taking place with our teachers over the course of the summer. We have beautiful addition to our elementary school, which I've posted pictures on the website. We started this project last fall. The project is now completed on time, within budget. If you recall, those of you who may not know, Winslow was one of 20 schools in the state that applied, wrote a project to use ESSER funds under the guidance of social distancing. And as a result of that, we were able to build a $2.2 million addition to our elementary school, 4 classrooms, 2 office spaces for our elementary school students for much needed space at no additional cost to the local taxpayers. So there was an incredible project. It worked exceptionally well, and we're very proud that we were able to accomplish that. In addition to that, we'll be able to do some paving. We were very fortunate that the construction company we're dealing with was able to get hold of a reclaimer. From what I understand, this is a very large machine, tears up a lot of tar, and it saves you a lot of money. That's going to be in our parking lot very soon, and that's going to start on Monday as soon as everything is out of the way, and so that'll be a beautiful section. We're also going to be able to resurface our track, which is something that's been in need for a long time, and so that will take place this summer as well. Those are the highlights that I have this evening, except I'd like to do a shout out from Mr. Karen, who today volunteered some time to work with our elementary school students, did a lesson, a history lesson at Fort Halifax. Very positive comments with the kids that were there. And Mr. Karen hates this when I do a shout out for him. But he did a really nice job, volunteered his time, so good for him.
I'm just barely this much more intelligent than the actual 4th graders that were there. So it's the only time I can say that is, you know what I mean? Kindergartens, I got beat, that's for sure, but fourth graders is marginal, it gets
You know,
marginal.
I'm trying to pay you a compliment, Mr.
No,
Chairman.
no, no, no.
I guess the only other thing that I would say is tomorrow is voting day. Please exercise your right to vote. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
Is that it? The Finance Committee reports, those are in your packet, and the financial reports as well.
Make a motion to accept all
that Jeff?
reports of committees and commissions.
Second.
Dale Macklin,
Yes.
Jerry Querian,
Yeah.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
And Peter Drapo.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. On to public comment. I do have one email to read. Can I do that?
Yep.
In-
Go ahead.
It's from Fran Hudson. Hello. My concern for implementing the new PSD was never about not understanding how it works or not agreeing it would work. I believe it was doomed from the start by how it was presented and pushed for all to accept way too quickly, with no time to plan, present information, or any data. Everyone knew this was going to happen no matter the question or concern from the residents, and they had no choice in the matter. I believe it would work and could work only if both departments were on board to make it work. And if the leader director was able to lead both departments and work well with both departments. I believe both of these essential necessities were and are not being met. After losing 4 police officers for whatever the reason, you all will say it was due to money. I will go with my thoughts that more money was the deciding factor and not the main reason. But it doesn't really matter. We lost 4, and we are still down 3, all during the start of this trial. Now, 11 out of the 12 full-time firefighters have all come forward and stated they are not on board with the trial and plan. They all stated morale is at a critical low point from their deputy chief down the line. It had to take a lot of courage for them to stand together and speak up for what they believe. You all have to hear and see what is happening. I am in hopes you all are willing to admit that your fire department employees can and may start to turn to other places for employment, all due to what they have now publicly stated as being against what they believe in the best interest of their safety and department. This is a bad time to replace lost staff, proof being the open positions at the police department still not being filled. Protecting and keeping our current staff at a time where our national shortage should take the highest priority. Losing any more staff will definitely be the start of the end of these departments being able to continue to succeed in serving this community and residents in a very effective professional manner they always have. Winslow is gaining a bad reputation for a poor place to work. We just lost another code officer. We also lost Lisa Gilliam, a very big asset to this town and a very good dispatcher that was there for some time, just to name a few. I have also heard that Winslow can be a toxic place to work. Do any of you know why? Have any of you asked? I am sure you have a good idea. If you all care about this town, its people, its reputation, please don't take this letter.
Excuse me, Andrew. That's time.
Mr. Chairman, can I respond to that?
No?
Okay.
There will be a discussion on public safety later.
Okay.
Any other public comment? So there's no table business. Old business, order number 20-2023, providing for authorization for the town manager to renew the Information Technology Services Agreement with the City of Waterville for a 1-year term.
So moved.
Second.
Was that Rocky?
Yep.
to be a public comment?
Roll call, Dale Macklin?
Discussion?
Oh, sorry,
Discussion?
discussion.
Any discussion? There being none, go ahead.
Dale Macklin?
Yes.
Jerry Querian?
Yes.
Ray Karen?
Yes.
Joseph Gravel? Jeff West?
Yes.
Lee Trahan?
Yes.
And Peter Drapo?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Okay, so we're on to new business. There's a public hearing, rezoning of China Road. I do have one email to read.
Before we start with that, I'd like to find out from the audience how many people would like to speak on this rezoning issue for the China Road. Could you please raise your hands? Normally, a public hearing, the time given to you is 5 minutes. With the amount of people, we can reduce that to 3. Let's go with the 5 and try to get your time in a little early if you can, please, so we don't have to limit you to 3 minutes. Go ahead, Audrey.
I just want to make sure, the planning board is here as well. I see Gary, Mike. Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't see you back there. Okay, just want to make sure. Thank you. There's too many heads in the audience. Okay, you want me to read this email first?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, so this is from Lynette Casey. Miss LaCroix, I called the town office to get more information regarding the special town meeting that will be held on June 12th regarding the proposed rezoning for property on the China Road from conservation to rural. The woman I spoke with encouraged me to write an email on the topic and my concerns. I would sincerely like to attend the meeting, but I will be on a work trip out of town and unable to attend. Please consider my comments below as evidence of my interest and opinion on the topic. My husband Dan and I reside in one of the few year-round properties on Patty's Pond. I work in the field of sustainable energy, focusing on decarbonation technology for industrial companies all over the world. As a year-round resident of the pond, I am very concerned about the quality of Patty's Pond. I have served on the board of the President's Line Road Association and a member of the Patty's Pond Association. Both associations monitor the health and quality of the pond and roads around the pond, along with a few other road associations. As I am sure you're aware, over the years, Patty's Pond has suffered water quality issues due to many factors. The concerned citizens of not only the pond, but of Winslow in general have worked very hard over the years to clean up and maintain the pond, which was once dangerously close to being classified as one of Maine's deadly lakes. I recently completed the last class requirement for a master's in substantiality from the Harvard University, and the history of the conservation of Patty's Pond was the subject of a recent research paper of mine, focused on the hyper-local impacts of climate change on a community and various methods individuals and communities could use to mitigate these bodies of knowledge, mitigate these climate change risks. I spent a semester researching information about the pond, on which there is a great deal. This body of knowledge comes from Colby College, the University of Maine, the Maine Department of Environmental Protection, the Kennebec County Soil and Water Conservation Districts, and even firms like FB Environmental, who were hired by Camp Caribou to complete a watershed assessment of Patty's Pond. The reason I bring up the health of Patty's Pond is because the properties in question at the upcoming special meeting for a zoning change are in the Patty's Pond watershed. I am attaching a copy of the following for your review on the various recommendations that have been made over the years about the fragility of the Patty's Pond watershed. A watershed analysis of Patty's Pond, 1992 and 2008, Colby College studies. In 1992, a 137-page watershed analysis was done by Colby College students as a capstone course in environmental science. It captured watershed and zoning impacts back as far as the Winslow Comprehensive Plan of 1964. The study was redone in 2008 as even more comprehensive 287-page analysis detailing the various mitigation and zoning measurements and recommendations that should be taken into consideration for the health of Patty's Pond. Town officials were incredibly open and cooperative with the college in the study on a number of topics. The report indicates an assessment on how past and future zoning changes within the watershed would adversely impact the pond. It's too large for a file to attach, but you can find the 2008 report on the Colby College website. That website is listed. And the 1992 report on the same site, again, she has listed that as well. Both of these reports are true gifts to Patty's Pond, the town of Winslow, in preserving the history and planning of the preservation of the pond. Patty's Pond NPS Reduction Project, 2010. The town of Winslow received grant funding from the Maine DEP to address the at-risk NSP priority watershed. Patty's Pond Watershed Assessment 2021. This is a watershed assessment by FB Environmental commissioned by Camp Caribou after an algae bloom in 2020 resulting from a dry year concerned Camp Caribou about the quality of the pond and therefore their
Chairman, that's time.
Okay, whoever would like to speak on this subject, please get to the podium and state your name.
Good evening. I'd like to make a special hello to 4 students I had as 7th graders. Rocky, Peter, Jeff, and Lee Trahan. Hope they learned a lot about science. That's one of the reasons I'm here. My name is Bradford Whitaker. I have a piece of property on the pond, 114 Perch Road, and I'm here as someone who's been very involved since I've owned that property with things around the pond that help keep it beautiful for all of us that are there and for any in the town that want to keep it beautiful. I was involved with the watershed survey in 2007. We were trained, we did it ourselves. No one gave any money toward that from the state. We did it on our own. I was the coordinator for the DEP grant that we wrote in 2009 and 2010. We wrote it, we received it. It was a $65,000 grant. We were supposed to do 40%. We ended up doing more than 100% more than what they asked. So the people around the pond are really concerned about that pond, and they put their bodies and their work, hard work behind it. Because it was $156,000, which we raised $91,000 of it in kind, with materials and with work. I have a question on this parcel, these parcels. What will be the parcel, what will they be used for? Can I ask that question during my time?
Yeah.
Yes.
So the owner of those parcels is here, well, of one of the parcels, and I believe Mike Joseph is here. He owns another parcel already. I hate to, I will let George speak to his project, but this encompasses more than his property. The project that George has presented is going to be a multi-storefront, and storefront's not really a good word, but it's the best thing we have in the code that fits. It will be the Kennebec roofing facility, but in addition to that, there's going to be additional units that can be used as either warehousing or office space. There's not going to be any deep excavation. These are all going to be on a slab. He does already have his permits in with the DEP. We talked to the DEP about this particular section of parcels that we were looking at. DEP indicated that those were, they had no issue with those parcels along China Road. They did have issues if we weren't further to the actual lake itself. So we did that before even putting this forward before council and the planning board. So did our due diligence there. Another thing that I think everyone needs to understand here is that we're talking about the difference from conservation district to rural zone. They're virtually identical in their primary uses and their conditional uses, with the exception, and the reason that we're looking at this here, the residential or the rural district states that you can have small stores on a parcel, stores plural, and the conservation district says small store, singular. I did speak to Steve Russell at length today. He was part of the council that passed the conservation district back in 2008, and he indicated to me that, one, they did this very deliberately and with the intent that China Road would continue to develop, that there would be commercial development along China Road. However, in the watershed area, it was designed to take more stringent mitigation measures if you wanted to build something there. So if you wanted to have, the example Steve used was a chicken farm, while the rural district, you could have your chicken farm. In the conservation district, you would have to go through the additional measures of having a mitigation plan for the runoff from the manure and such. So that's how it was designed. It was not, according to him, ever designed to eliminate any further expansion. China Road itself is being designated in the new comprehensive plan, which is 99.9% complete, and there will be another public hearing on that before council votes on it. But China Road is one of our designated growth zones as a major corridor through town. So the reason that we're putting this forward is we already have 2 parcels within that same grouping that is proposed that would be non-compliant under the current zoning, which is not a problem because they're grandfathered until the owners should go to sell, and then they would become non-conforming lots. This brings them into compliance. The other aspect to that is that it brings China Road into where we intend to go with the comprehensive plan. So the environmental impacts to the pond are very, very important. That has not been lost on anybody at this table. I can't speak for everyone on the council, but certainly hasn't been lost on myself. The feeling, the reason that I put it forward is because I do not believe that where we're talking about, and based on, I have read the Colby study, I looked at that one this morning, the major impact areas had nothing to do with China Road. They referenced the furthest away road they referenced was Knoll Road, but all of the other roads that they referenced as being high impact areas were all much closer to the lake itself. So China Road was never mentioned in that report. I will post that one online as well. I just got that today. So again, we're talking about a small strip of parcels and nothing that does not abut China Road. I know that there's a concern that this is a slippery slope, that once we start, we will continue on down the path of continuing to delve further into the conservation district. That would not be consistent with the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan is still very strong on maintaining the conservation area as conservation, with the stipulation that China Road can be developed. And that is what is going into that plan. So it is not about going further into deeper parcels that go further towards the lake or further into the conservation zone in any other direction.
I hope that this didn't use up my whole 5 minutes, because I
Well,
asked one question.
response does, but I'll give you,
But I was too wordy.
no, that's fine. We'll give you a few more minutes.
How many acres does the person who petitions to have this changed plan to clear?
I would have to refer that question to Mr. Lint.
What's cleared is that's all it's getting cleared.
Pardon me?
What is cleared already is that, it's already been cleared.
So it's about an acre and a half?
Nope, it's on the left side, it's probably about 2.5 acres.
2.5.
And on the right side, it's probably a little over 1.
Okay, a question for you. When you cleared that, did you have the DEP okay not to leave any canopy?
I checked with, at the time, Adam, the code enforcer, and asked if I needed a permit, and at that point, as long as I was clearing and let the greenage grow back, then I didn't need a permit.
So you didn't have to leave the canopy like it states in the
I was told
conservation district?
if after I clear, on the right side, I didn't touch any of the stumpage.
Yes.
I only cleared about maybe 2 acres that I cleared the stumpage. And currently, right now, I haven't done anything after that, it's going back.
And the DEP is not going to require any stormwater mitigation on those
I have
properties?
E. Hodgson working on all that right now.
So it is not determined yet what's going to happen to mitigate for all the runoff?
Point of order.
We're at.
Phase one and
This is not supposed to be a direct back and forth with,
Okay.
it's your time to speak, and
Your time is up, sir.
Okay.
I make a motion that we extend the time another 2 minutes. That needs a second if anybody agrees with that.
I'll second it.
We have a second. We need a roll call vote for additional 2 minutes for Mr. Whitaker.
Dale Macklin.
Yes.
Jerry Quirian.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gretel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
And Peter Drapple.
Yep.
So additional 2
Okay,
minutes.
thank you very much. I appreciate that. Will this area around the
We
buildings
can't
be
go back
paved
and
or
forth.
gravel?
Point of order?
Let's see. Will it-
you have to address the council, I'm
Will
sorry,
it be
sir.
paved or gravelled around the buildings?
We're gonna do this right, or we're not gonna do it.
I'm sorry.
No, it's not your issue. It's the issue right here. There's no back and forth, and be prepared to give everybody else another 2-3 minutes. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, if the property has gravel around the buildings instead of pavement, it's going to lead to a lot of runoff. 1 acre, 1 inch of rain is 25,000 gallons of water that runs off that. 1 acre. So this is about 1.5 acres. So you've got 37,500 gallons with 1 inch of rain. You had a 2-inch and a 3-inch rain in the last few weeks, and that's a huge amount of water running down that ditch beside the road. And it could have a lot of phosphorus from the dirt if it's gravelled around those buildings, and a lot of bare dirt with no canopy to protect that, so that's not a good thing. There's a steep grade on that property toward the road. So that's gonna have that water run down toward the road ditch. And there's a steep grade from the property down to Bellows Stream. It could carry a lot of sediment, and sediment is what causes the pond to have algae blooms. Why can't the plan that's presented be done in the conservation district?
It's the difference between stores and store. So there would be an alternative answer, which would be to modify the conservation district itself to say stores instead of store. I did not get an answer from Steve today. He didn't really comment because I said, was that wording between stores and store intentional, or was it simply an oversight? So another way to skin the cat for the same thing would be to say stores are allowed. Again, pointing out that I do want to point out Bellows Stream was specifically the location that our attorney called DEP to question about when we looked at this. And they said they would not have a concern with Bellows Stream.
Okay. I'll find out. Do you know who was the person who represented the DEP?
That's time. That's the extra 2 minutes.
I can try to find out if.
Okay, thank you. You already mentioned that this could be a step toward more
Time's up.
eradication of conservation district.
We're at 13 minutes here total.
Yep, time's up.
Time's up.
Time's up.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Is it, sorry.
Go ahead, ma'am.
My name is Linda Woods. I live on Osprey Lane, which is off Catfish Corner, which is off North Pond Road. I have 2 questions. You've used the term talk to someone at the DEP. Talked does not mean that an independent environmental impact study was done. I think it's important that that occur. I'd like to see this council require that. Perhaps it will lead to the fact that a zoning change is appropriate. We don't know, but talked is not the same as boots on the ground, looking at the site and looking at the possibility that stores might cause trouble for the lake. And my other question is, did the council receive, and the planning board, receive the copies of the documents that Lynette Casey sent?
Those were forwarded, and they're actually in their packets.
Okay, because that was important, that Lynette wanted you all to see, in case you hadn't had a chance to read the material. Lynette wanted to make sure that you knew the importance of keeping this lake clean. That's all I have to say, thank you.
Who else would like to speak?
He said everything I need to say. Brad did. I'm all set.
You're all set, Mike? Yes, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Esther Miller. I come with a slightly different perspective. While I feel that the health of Patty's Pond is extremely important, I happen to be the person who lives in the house, which I have a mortgage on, that's right smack dab in the middle of the land that has been cleared. I'm very concerned about the impact that this project will have on my property and on my family's peace living in a rural area on the China Road. I intentionally purchased a home for my family, which is myself, my husband, and our children, 2 of whom go to Winslow, in order to not be next door to commercial properties. And furthermore, the conservation zone that my house is currently under should be all that I need to have the peace of mind to know that I can continue to live in peace and quiet without 24/7 business or rental access going on around me. I'm concerned about increase in noise. I'm concerned about increase in traffic. There is now a dirt road that goes around the backside of my property, and it's not getting used, and that's fine right now, but what will the next step be? I was not consulted before my property was included in this permit. I don't want it included in this permit. That's not part of my future or my focus as a resident here of Winslow. I do want to mention that I feel like it's important that the town not act on a comprehensive plan that has not yet cleared public comment or been put into action. The appropriate procedure would be to wait until those steps are completed. And I want to say, George and I have a relationship that's neighborly. We work to be good neighbors. I don't have anything against George personally or against his vision or his dream, but I have to stand here and represent what I'm here for. I also went to Winslow High School. I went away to college. I came back. I bought a house, raised my family, and have a good job and make a good living. And that's supposed to be what we do, right, as young people. So I just want to make sure that my voice is heard. And again, I echo all of the concerns about the residents of Patty's Pond, and I just want to make sure that both perspectives are heard. So thank you.
Thank you.
Just as a point of information, if you refer to the town code and look into the permitted uses in the conservation district, there is nothing in there that would actually prevent development around any property. So while I completely sympathize that you purchase a property where you think it's going to be maintained as woodland and privacy around you, that's not reality, and I've been a property owner that has stuff built right up to my back fence. The reality is, if you don't own the property, you are not in control of that property's destiny. That would be no more fair than going over to Smiley's and telling them that they can no longer serve ice cream out of there because it's a store and we've got a wetland spot behind them. That's not what the function of the town is. The function of the town is to go through the code, see what it requires, and act on that. Also keep in mind, this is just the hearing about the zoning, okay? Anything that has to happen as far as DEP permits, which will be required, MDOT has to sign off on traffic. It's a state road. Planning board has to accept the actual proposal for the project, which hasn't been fully engineered and designed out yet. So this is talking about the zone, whether it be that project or others. China Road is going to be developed going down the road. And that I know because I've had numerous conversations with many of our counselors, and we know where we need to tailor where we cut into to try and grow in this town. So we already have plenty of development out along China Road through all areas of it. This is not, keep in mind, I guess this is the best way I can put it. Every project that happens out there still has to go through a permitting and approval process. At that point is when it gets confirmed that any developer has met every permit requirement at the local and state and even federal level if that applies. If there's wetlands, that brings in the Army Corps of Engineers. There are plenty of agencies that are going to be looking at this all along the way and saying, yes, we can, or no, we can't. As far as talking to whoever I talked to at DEP, I didn't, I'm sorry, our attorney did, we contact them for advice.
I actually checked the regulations. If this property is outside of the wetland area along that creek.
Right.
And if it were within it, then of course, you have all of the restrictions that would go with that. But this is, as I understand it, this proposed rezoning is well outside of the wetland zone of our conservation map, of our wetland zoning, which is superimposed upon it. So from that standpoint, it appears to be not an issue. Now, somebody else, if there's something planned there that, for a project that somehow fits under something else, then that would be addressed as it goes through the permitting process.
And again, this public hearing isn't about whether the project itself happens or not. This is about whether the zoning that would allow development on those parcels occurs.
Okay. Move forward. Go ahead, sir.
Members of the council, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Kevin Grant. I own the property directly across the road, 862 China Road. Pragmatically, I have concerns about what a commercial project will do to my property valuation. With an eye on retirement, like many of you, my home is my single largest asset. Personally, I have many investors' concerns. My wife and I purchased that property in the fall of 1992. I did so for the privacy, for the quality of life. We've raised our two sons there. We've grown old there. I would like to continue the lifestyle. I've always been blessed with good neighbors. They've been respectful, quiet, courteous. We've had good relationships. And so, like I said, my concern, I'm all for free enterprise. I just want to be sure that this is done right. I don't want to see anyone's property lose value, and I don't want anyone to lose the quality of life that rural Winslow has to offer. Thank you for your attentive ear.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak on this?
You know I want to. Well, as a Patty's Pond owner, house owner, I've been there for a while. I recently had...
Excuse me, Steve, for people that don't know you, please state your name.
I'm Steve Martin.
Thank you.
Don't throw anything at me. I just wanted to quickly point out that I as well have developed a piece of property recently. I didn't receive any support up here when I was going through the process, so I have great sympathy for anybody that's going through the process. I do live on the pond. I care about the pond. I'm an active board member. But keep in mind, the gentleman that's looking to build lives on the pond. And so I'm sure he cares about the pond. I haven't talked to him, but, anybody that lives on the pond cares about the pond, because it's an important part of our lifestyle. That being said, I want to wrap things up. I think the reason that we're concerned as a pond group is that when they originally cleared the lot, wasn't much sign of erosion control methods put up, and I'm not blaming him because he may not have known about that. And I think that's something that I take responsibility as a community member, because I know the difference, and maybe I should have said something. Maybe our code officer should have spoke up and said, hey, you can free clear the land, but make sure you put up proper erosion control methods, because, it does run down into the inlet of the pond. And so it sat that way for a long time. And so I think that's why people are concerned around the pond. But I personally am in support of growth in the community, and I wish them all the luck. And I think we would be better served to do what we can to help the situation, to work with them to make the neighbors happy, to make the pond people happy, and so everybody grows together. But that's all I'm going to say.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak on this? Nope. Okay.
I do. My name is Mike Joseph. I own a property adjoining to George's property that he's talking about right now. And I also own the property that owns Joseph's Flooring. When I wound up purchasing the property and having the flooring company put it there was some stipulations where I was building. And one of them is noise, because not having trucks driving in and out of there 9, 10 o'clock at night in consideration of the people around it. So that's another thing that I'm concerned about. I know George was at first, he was gonna put his warehouse there. I'm glad for him, I'm glad that he's gonna do that. But having multiple stores there, I think that they're concerned as far as noise and for the consideration of as far as what the property is gonna be valued. Because now you're changing the zone from conservation to rural. I think it's a mistake if we do that. And like I said, I'm not opposed to having the building, if he was gonna do that, that's fine. I have no problem with that at all. But when I had the opportunity to build my place, there were certain stipulations that's about noise. That was a major thing. And of course, the presentation of how the building was gonna be put and what was put in place. That's all I need to say. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Close the public meeting.
Okay, I'll close the public hearing on the rezoning for China Road. And we will have another public hearing on the amending marijuana ordinance and associated zoning requirements.
Who would like to speak on this public hearing?
I guess I'll start.
Yep. Please state your name and where you reside.
My name is Leon Roby. I live on the Cushman Road. And this will be my 3rd year operating as a registered caregiver in Winslow. I'm currently licensed to the town as a caregiving, I forget how to say it, but what would now be referred to in the rule changes as a Tier 1 cultivation facility. And I did speak with my compliance lawyer because I wanted to make sure that what I was bringing forward was relevant. But my concern here is that the town has sort of established a blanket term for all cultivation stores, both for medical and adult use. And I think it's important that the town looks into sort of dividing that, because there are some protections in state law already for caregivers on the medical side that towns, I have the wording in the letter that I think you all have. A municipality may not prohibit or limit the number of registered caregivers. So I'm just hoping that we can get some of the wording changed to change the distinction there.
I'm listening to two different
No, sorry,
conversations.
sorry, if you have questions,
Stand by,
feel
Mary
free.
Lou Ann. What is your, can
Oh,
you
I'm
respond?
gonna take a look at this. We might need to do the carve out that you were proposing.
Yeah, so and I'm hoping that will be
I mean,
just
the-
that
I
simple.
think the goal was to greatly simplify things and not
Right,
have two
which makes
separate
sense, and
ordinances.
I think the town is taking the right steps.
Right,
Opting in
and
for
medical
allergies.
marijuana caregivers do have a special
That's
status.
and,
And
particularly
the lowest
without-
level on commercial activity.
Yes, like I do what most people can do in their basement. And
We do have definitions carved out that are separate within the ordinance, though.
right, and that's, I guess my concern is just with the new ones, it sort of all gets lumped into
Encompassing,
one.
yeah.
It's just all marijuana establishments, so for somebody operating out of my home, which Maine does have protections on, that I'm allowed to operate this tier one, as the town would call it, cultivation facility
Mhm.
from a home. I'm just hoping that the town can look into this for me.
Right.
I also did have, on that same note, just quickly, the security requirements as well, which in my mind make a lot of sense for stores, and, you know, you're looking at 20,000 square foot cultivation facilities, which is far beyond anything that I'm doing. But things like surrounding the property or your home, in my case, in floodlights or security cameras, could sort of prove invasive in a lot of cases. And you could have a cultivator, like a caregiver like me, in downtown Winslow, basically, who would then need to put security cameras that are pointing into abutting properties' yards. You'd have floodlights attracting brown-tail moths that nobody wants. And just would be, so another thing to look at that I hope the town would consider.
We'll consult with Mr. Lee and see what else we can do. It was, not having had this ordinance in place in the past, it was modeled largely after what Waterville already has in place. Although Waterville's a different community, the basis for the legal language seemed to be similar, so.
I know it's all the state rules
yeah.
are confusing. It's all,
So,
there's a lot.
so
to
there's
it,
certainly room to look at how we tailor it more closely to Winslow.
Yes, I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's why we have public hearings.
Anybody else like to speak on this ordinance? Thank you.
Thank you.
No, let's close
So we'll
that.
close the public hearing on amending the marijuana ordinance and associated zoning requirements. Okay. Order number 24-2023, providing for authorization for the town manager to appropriate $264,460 from budgeted use of surplus and $39,000 from ambulance revenue to cover unanticipated FY23 expenditures and the detailed listing attached.
Second?
I'm sorry, that was
Discussion?
Jerry, who second?
Jeff.
Jeff, thank you.
Any discussion? No?
None?
Being none.
Dale Macklin.
Yes?
Jerry Quirian.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
Peter Drapo.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Order number 25-2023, providing for authorization for the Public Works to assist in maintaining Drummond Cemetery to include annual spring and fall cleanup, as well as seasonal mowing.
So move. Second.
Any discussion?
Just one thing, are we gonna be able to get any records on what's open, who's buried there and all that? Plot plans or any of that stuff?
I may be speaking out of turn, and I will certainly follow up on it, but I believe that Jason Fitch has most of those records or has access to them. I believe he's on the committee that's currently taking care of them.
He's on Howard Cemetery.
I thought he had something to do with.
He could probably be on that one, too.
Yeah,
on every
I
cemetery
think
committee.
he's on this one too, although Paul has left us, he had a little bit more information on this than I do, but I'll certainly follow up and see what we can get, because yes, we do, anything that we take over, we want to have complete records, so. Although this is the maintenance portion of it, so.
That's all.
Okay. Dale Macklin.
Yes.
Jerry Querian.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
Peter Drapo.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. This is an amended resolution number 10-2023, providing for authorization for the town manager to pay the entire bill of, and it should be $25,020.05 for this one project. This was,
Discussion?
I could-
Go ahead.
For the benefit of the public, since the resolution number doesn't specify, this was discussed last meeting. It's a sewer backup that Paul Fonjamy and I both deemed that we felt the town had some obligation towards, although our insurance company did not. So if anyone was looking at the last meeting, this is the follow-up. At that time, we had rounded off the information. It was a discussion item, said $23,000, as we didn't have the documents in front of us. Council opted to do a resolution right there on the spot, and when we got the documents in front of us, we noticed that that left us a couple of $1,000s short from what the actual charges are.
Dale Macklin.
Yes.
Jerry Querian.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
Peter Drapo.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Resolution number 11, 2023, providing for pole location permit, Central Maine Power Company and Consolidated Communications of Northern New England Company, LLC, work order number 801-000-540366.
So moved. Second.
Discussion?
Dale Macklin.
Yes.
Jerry Querian.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
And Peter Drapo.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Resolution number 12-2023, providing for application for an on-premise liquor license by the 2 Cent Pub, 82 Clinton Avenue, Winslow, Maine, 04901.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? No? Dale Macklin.
Yes.
Jerry Querian.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes.
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
And Peter Drapo.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Okay, resolution number 13-2023, providing for Spirit of America Award nomination for 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Does everyone know who was nominated? So this was nomination turned in by Councilor Trahan for Wally LaFountain.
I would strongly support this resolution.
Yeah, I can only say that, Wally's been a lifelong member, well, not a lifelong member, but a member of the community. He's currently living on Christian Road, he's like 95. Was very involved in the wrestling program, football program for the town of Winslow for many, many years, and well-deserving of the reward.
Is that the only?
That is the only nomination. One thing we haven't done in years past that I would like to see us do this year is, once you all vote, should you choose to award Wally the Spirit of America Award, we would like to have that presented at a ceremony either next month or August, so that the recipient doesn't just get their little letter in the mail that says, hey, you were nominated, and but they actually get a little bit more recognition from the town. I know what.
Would you do the ceremony at a council meeting?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, good.
Lee, does he know he's been nominated?
He will.
I didn't speak to him directly, but I did speak with his son David to get the background information
Okay.
that I supplied to my letter of nomination.
Okay, okay. I should just reach out to tell Wally he's been nominated, just so in case, some people don't like that type of thing, and some people do, but I just want to make sure that, you know, that he wants to receive the award. He definitely deserves it, but,
Well, you guys can vote on giving him the award tonight. We can reach out to
Okay.
Wally and let him know that he's been nominated and make sure he's okay with that. If he's not, we certainly don't have to have a
Yeah,
further
okay.
ceremony.
Mr. LaFountain will be more than joyed.
Okay,
when he hears
good.
about
Good.
about this. I
Okay.
can assure you of that.
okay?
I'd be happy to, talk
Why don't you
to-
contact him
talk to
before?
him, you know,
Just do
after
it,
the-
just, yeah.
after the
I'll be
nomination
glad to
votes
call
on-
him too. I'll be glad to
Yeah.
call him too tomorrow, so, okay.
Perfect. Dale Macklin.
Yes?
Jerry Querian.
Yes.
Ray Karen.
Yes?
Joseph Gravel.
Yes.
Jeff West.
Yes.
Lee Trahan.
Yes.
Peter Drefeld.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. On to discussion items, the Public Safety Department.
Can we go on that?
You can, yeah, go ahead, and I think they'll.
Mr. Chairman, may I have the floor, please, for a few minutes on a response to the comments that were read earlier in the meeting?
Yep, absolutely.
The comments that were read by Fran Hudson at the beginning of this meeting, I have a problem with them. If she wants to say that this town is not a good place to work, she's getting misinformation. If she thinks that our fire department, Lenny's still here? Yes, our fire department was down by 3 or 4, 6 months ago. We lost a bunch of them simply because they're written reasons for leaving. They could go to Waterville, Somerset County, Kennebec County, even down to Kittery for more money. So we lost them. And it was hard to rehire them right off.
That was police, Dale. We're
Police.
talking fire.
She mentioned police, we were down.
Okay.
Yeah, we were down. all
You had
the
said
way.
fire, that's
You
what I was
said
trying to
fire.
clarify.
Excuse me. Yeah, with the police. And as I'm sure you all must be aware that a lot of towns are having trouble hiring people. We knew that was an issue. 2 years ago, this council, my first year on the council, I think everybody else was on the council, your taxes went up. The biggest bulk of that was to increase salaries in this town, across the board. They went up again a little bit this year. Lenny was having a hard time hiring officers. Lenny, today, are you up to par?
We're still short one person.
One person compared to 3 or 4, how long ago?
Right, about 2 months ago.
Yes. So we are hiring. They are coming back. We think we have our salaries somewhere near where they should be. We also instituted, and it takes effect July, I think, a retention bonus for our police officers. If they stay 6 months, they will receive a $2,500 retention bonus for each 6 months up to 3 years after that. Was that effective? It was, because we had lost an officer to Waterville. And he had accepted the job at Waterville. When he found out we were gonna offer these retention bonuses, he is now on our payroll. He came back, because our salaries are up there. Why we've lost so many over the last year or so, it's basically money. It's all money. Nobody has come to me as an employee of this town and said that they are leaving because they're not happy working here. Town clerk's official reason for leaving: more money, closer to home. To say that, it disturbs me to say that somebody in this town, without the right information, is saying that people don't like to work in this town, and they do. You talk to most of them in this town, and they do. At least they're not, or they're not reporting it correctly to their supervisors. one or the other. And I've lived in this town all my life. And Winslow has always had, I believe, a good reputation for people to work in Winslow. And they come back. How many, Esther said she came back from school, or she left? Yeah, she came back. So they're coming back. I don't understand why somebody's gonna say that this town is not a good place to work for, and that the rank and file are not happy working here. But as of right now, what I know, our salaries are up where they should be. We're gonna keep people now. And as far as I've been told anyway, they enjoy working here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Erica, does anybody else from the council want to pipe in at this point, or do we want to let Erica give her presentation and then we can talk?
Just 1 minute, just really. The Public Safety Department back, I don't know what it was, seems like years ago now, but probably was a year ago. I was not in favor of the Public Safety Department, and I agreed with the 6-month trial. Let's see, let's give it. My concern with the Public Safety Director in the department is that administration-wise, it's just structurally the wrong fit for a size of the town of Winslow. It has nothing to do with the clientele, the police clientele, the police chief, the fire the deputy, has nothing to do with that. Structurally, I believe it not to be right for the town of Winslow. It doesn't give enough, like for a county, it might be appropriate for a bigger sized community. It might be appropriate, but for the size of Winslow, and I still feel that way, that the administrative structure of a safety director is not appropriate for the town of Winslow, and I still feel that way at this particular time. Those are just my thoughts.
Oh, wait, I'll go last. Go ahead, Erica.
Okay, so obviously we put this on the agenda for discussion because we're approaching the end of the 6 months. I do have to respectfully disagree with Councilor Karen. The Public Safety Department model is actually designed around the mid-sized community, not the large-size community. The other communities up north that are using this model are fairly close to Winslow in size. So I don't think that's as much of an issue. Is it a good model for Winslow regardless of that? In the last 6 months, although we have obviously had some turnover, the only employee that has said anything that it had to do with anything other than money stated that they felt the environment was toxic, but also they were going to get more money. So away they go. If, again, I agree with Councilor Macklin, if people are not happy here, that is not what they've been communicating. People want anonymous surveys. I personally do not believe in anonymous surveys. Anonymous surveys encourage people to vent their spleen, to take out things that don't even have anything to do with the topic at hand. I've been the subject of anonymous surveys in the past. And I've got one. I kept it. I have it in my file. I keep it home. It's from 1998 when I was a lead worker for the Violations Bureau in Lansing, Michigan. And the thing that I hated about it was no one once told me to my face any of the problems they had. They used that anonymous survey to say the most vile and hateful things. They're not effective. If you believe something, you put your name to it, okay? So I have a real hard time saying that we have this huge problem. Fire department stood up at the last Public Safety Department public meeting and said there's a huge morale issue. And yet, when we have the captains, or the deputy chief and the captains on down asking if there's a morale issue after the fact, no, there's no morale issue. So I think it's time to be honest about what this department means or doesn't mean to the town. It doesn't mean that police are now fire and fire is now police. That's not what it means. It's an organizational structure that allows us to consolidate public safety services under one umbrella and save a little bit of money while we do it. We have had no degradation of service despite going short-staffed with the officers that we lost. We have actually filled fire department and added several call force employees since the inception of the public safety department trial. In my mind, the fact that there's no detriment that we've seen means that it was successful. I know people are going to say they want metrics. There's no metric other than our call volume, the speed with which we answer calls, the response time. Those are the metrics, and those metrics have not changed under this structure. And it's because the people on the front lines, their duties haven't changed. Nothing has changed in those functions. What has changed is the people at the very top. Their functions have changed. The deputy chief's functions have changed, and there's a public safety director that never existed before. That's a new classification. I also would point out that whether this department's a good idea for Winslow or not, it's about what's best for the town, not necessarily about what popular opinion is as far as if employees are going to be upset about it. I believe the biggest reason that we haven't gotten past the angst is because we're in this limbo period, this so-called trial, which isn't truly a trial because you all passed an ordinance back in November. So at this point, there's only really two ways to go. We either say it's worked and we're going to continue forward, and July 1 we've got a public safety department. That's what we budgeted for. Or you go forward and say, and it only takes one of you to say, I want to repeal the ordinance, and then we go through a new public hearing process starting in July. But I would ask all of you, one way or the other, please decide this and get it over with, because we will not put all of the angst to rest until everybody knows that this is the way we're going, this is the new normal. It's either going to be back to the old way or it's forward with the new. This position that we're in the middle, is not tenable. It's not tenable for myself. It's not tenable for Interim Director McDade. And we do have some really good people here, but we need to stop the rumor mill and the gamesmanship that's gone on behind the scenes and move forward with the business of doing what we do in the town, which is serve people. This has been a distraction, but it hasn't affected one iota of the service we've provided to the public. That's all I've got for it.
Anyone else?
You go. If I get some more, I'll add on.
I've made the statement publicly more than once that I'm on board with this department. It only makes sense. I've been here since '83. I've been in business here since '83. Let me tell you why I'm in favor of this. Since 1983, I have yet to walk into the fire or police departments and have the rank and file tell me that they liked and respected their superiors. There's always been a problem. Always. Always upheaval. Always issues. This is one way to cure these issues. I'm a firm believer that the majority of the rank and file is in favor of this. There is no good reason why not. Number one, we're saving $50,000 to $75,000 on wages as we speak. Number two, there's tons more grant money out there. The federal government and the state are looking for people to put public safety departments in place for that reason, to save money, to bring the two departments together as far as training is concerned. I'm going to say it. Policemen want one of their own as the chief. Firemen want one of their own as their chief. By having a public safety director, neither department has one of their own. They have an administrator. They have a businessman looking after the dollars and cents. And that's where it's been lacking. The year before I got on the council, 4 years ago, the fire department's budget was a little under $800,000 yearly. as we speak, we're at 1.4 million and climbing. Because of the services we've added, the ambulance service, everybody, that's a whole different argument. But the budgets are going up. How much money do you people want to spend? This department will save money. It will save people. For certain citizens to write in and say that this is a miserable place to work, it's toxic, on and on and on. Fire department's been up to speed and is up to speed for how long now, Chief? 6 months, 8 months? Is that a yes? Yes. Okay. Police department, you're down 1. We're coming back. COVID ate people. COVID took employees away. And what it did was allowed other departments, I mean, there's communities around us right now that are paying some of these officers fees that are non-sustainable. That will implode. We're at a fee at these budgets where we can sustain. We're looking to save money, we're looking to save people. As Erica said, the Public Safety Department is in place. Unless somebody wants to repeal it, speak up. I would like to take a straw poll vote tonight to ask her to implement, start putting the people in place full-time, no more interim. And that will cure 90% of the grumblings and the rumor mills and what have you. Go ahead, Dale.
Just one thing I want to add for you folks that showed up tonight and for the public. Unfortunately, state statutes provide for certain issues on personnel matters that have to be kept confidential. They're confidential. They can only be released by the employee, I believe. We can't, as council members. Erica can't, Lenny can't, we can't. Most of the time, us council members, we're not even supposed to know about it. But an issue will come up and we'll go into executive sessions. Unfortunately, we can't discuss that or even bring those issues up in public. I wish we could. And maybe the tone would be a little different on some of that stuff. But our hands are tied. I will totally agree with Erica, we gotta get this going. We've gotta try it. I think we can get the right personnel involved. And once everybody knows that this is the way it's gonna be for however long, that things will be able to be worked out. And they are. It's a money saver, especially in the long run. One thing people don't realize is there are a lot more federal grants out there available to communities that have a combined department. We can take advantage of that. There will be a savings in salaries going forward until, if we have to raise them again to keep people here. So there are advantages to it. And I will agree with Mr. Drapo. I will support giving Erica the okay to start tomorrow to institute the 3 permanent hirees. And Erica, as you know, and if you folks don't know, Erica, as town manager, has complete authority on the hiring processes for employees. We do not as a council. The council only gets involved if we have to approve a contract after the hiring process is over. So I'm going to suggest that we allow Erica to start that now.
To make, through the chair, if I might, thank you, Dale. Through the chair, to make this a permanent, is it a straw vote? Or is it an order, or is it, what is
It's
it next
nothing.
year?
It's,
permanent
you
right now.
all voted an ordinance
Yeah, but
in.
if we don't, so it's
You would have
permanent now.
to, you would have to bring it back to the table to repeal. So that would have to be, one of you tells me that you want it back on the table to repeal. It goes back on the July agenda to repeal the ordinance with a new public hearing and 2 votes.
So what was a straw vote? If we had a straw vote and somebody didn't want it, then what would that straw vote prove?
It doesn't,
Straw vote's not doing anything.
yeah, it's not doing anything.
That's what my point is. Why are we having a straw
Because
vote?
the straw vote, from my understanding, is that right now, this public Safety Department is established by ordinance. It's a done deal. It's like any of the other hundreds of ordinances we have in the books. Erica's job is to do the hiring for those departments. We've been on the 6-month trial period, so we've held off. So all we're doing is suggesting or giving Erica the okay to commence that hiring process now. That's all. She's basically, we're telling her, Erica, don't take it the wrong way. We're just asking her to do her job.
So what would it
and
do?
get these hirings in place.
What's the point of the straw vote then? What if I said I don't want it and it's 6-1? What's that mean?
That means I would assume that Erica's gonna start tomorrow or as soon as she can.
And so
do the
tomorrow I
hiring.
go to Erica and I say I want that appealed, repealed. So what
Then
would that
you
do?
put it on the agenda for next month.
All right.
But you need a majority to repeal it.
I understand that. I understand that. Okay. If you want a straw vote, I mean, you can have a straw vote. I don't know what's
If
gonna
I
do.
could,
The straw vote is to give her authority
Okay,
to
that's
start
fine.
the hiring process,
No,
not to
okay.
anything to do with the Public Safety Department is in place.
Okay, that's fine.
Does that make any sense to you?
Well, it's
Yes,
not giving her
however-
the authority, Peter, it's just asking her to,
Oh, right.
to go along. with
there's
it.
an opportunity for someone to move to repeal, and it's not something I want to put a whole lot of effort into if someone comes back and says, yes, I want it on the agenda. They want to sponsor having the department repealed. Additionally, you know me and my rigid ways. I like to do things by the book, and we said there was going to be a full 6 months. So the 6 months technically ends on June 30th. You know, and to be, being really honest, there's no way I'm getting your hiring process done right this minute because I have too many other fish to
It
fry.
has to get it done, just get it started.
I have to get it done, and believe me, I am working on things like proposing a committee to you all on what types of interview questions we would ask for the positions, and those types of things, but, so that come July 1, I can be ready to dive into that. But as far as actually working on advertising and things like that, no, I haven't done any of that.
The other thing is, on the ordinance, Ray, the ordinance is there, it can be repealed at any time, a year down the road, 6 months down the road, 5 years down the road, if it's not working out. It can be repealed anytime by majority vote of the council.
Can I speak?
Of course you can speak.
So, I've heard all the scuttlebutt out in the public, and to me, it sounds like it's more a communication issue, and not so much the public safety department issue. I think all the parties involved need to step up and sit down with each other and communicate. Most of the problems in any business or any conflict is a communication error. And I've seen it all my life. I've seen it in my business. I've seen it when I was on the fire department. And I think that the issue is that we need to sit down and you need to relay to your superior officers what the problem is so that we can take care of it. If nobody says anything, then how are we supposed to know what's going on? Erica had the last meeting about the public safety department, and that was the first time that anybody spoke up from either department against it. Kind of late in the process, but then did anybody, I mean, nobody sat down with a superior face to face and said what the issue was other than in this room. So to me, it's a communication issue. No matter what, public safety, or if we went back to the old system, it's a communication issue, so I'm willing to see how the public safety department works, and I would vote for it. Thank you.
Rocky, I have to agree with you 100%. Communication is always the problem in any line of work. What's lying here is certain people are not willing to go to their superiors
That's what I'm saying.
and bring it forward. Correct. They want to go behind over here, you know, the foolishness has got to stop. And I, for one, think this department is one way to stop that fool, but it won't stop until we put everything in place, meaning a full-time director, a full-time deputy chief in each department.
And the administration will listen if people come forward. I mean,
Yes.
the jobs will not be threatened. We're not
Of
gonna.
course not. You, listen.
So, you know, that's just, we're not that type of town.
No. No, but again, this size town is the perfect model. You couldn't do this with a, yeah, what do we got, 11 and 11 right now, I think, right? If we're up to speed.
13.
Huh?
We've got 12, basically 12 and 12, but we're up to
Okay, we're
13
talking under
MPD.
30 people in both departments. Come on, guys, do this standing on your head. But with a department of 100 and 100, you could have, that would be a harder do. But, okay, go ahead, Dale.
Rocky, I totally agree with you on the communication thing, and it's the same with any business. Because, and to reiterate what I just said a few minutes ago, all of the comments I get back from the citizens on the performance of our police and our firefighters, when they're out of the building doing their job, they are great at it. We've got some of the best. If not, they're all the best. We don't get complaints that they're not doing their job when they leave the building. Communication within the building, as Rocky says, and Rocky's been through it for 30 years, is the key to this whole thing, through the communication, and I think we have to give it a chance. We have to. Thank you, sir.
Anybody else? Jerry? No? Okay, let's move on. Two other issues here we have to.
Yes, the use of the town seal.
Use of the town seal.
This is, Dale, you have.
Yeah, that's something I requested.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
After an incident that happened last November, I guess, on who can use our town seal on business properties or political campaigning, whatever. Somebody came before this council a while ago, before I was on the council, and wanted to be able to use the town seal on their letterhead to promote them selling insurance to homeowners to cover their septic systems from the house to where they tie into the main line. They wanted to sell insurance for that in town, but they wanted to use the town seal on their letterhead, which the council at the time denied it, saying that, well, maybe people think the town was behind it, and the town was not behind it. Right now, the way the town seal, use of the town seal, and I don't know if we've adopted one. No idea if we have an official adopted town seal. That probably might go back more years than we.
If it's not official, I don't.
If we didn't adopt it and it's not copyrighted, we can't stop anybody from using it. That would be the issue.
We need Bill back in here for that question.
Bill could answer that.
If you know what the question was, you take a crack at it.
Has this town
Our
established a
town
town
seal.
seal?
If it has not been adopted as an official town seal by the council and/or been copyrighted, do we have any means of protecting it from anybody using it?
Haven't we adopted this, don't we have an official town seal? We certainly act like we do.
I thought we did.
We act like we do a lot of things.
That's something you can try to find out for us, Bill?
Sure.
Or somebody.
Yeah, I mean, we may be looking back through.
That's state statute. I have a copy.
Yeah. We have that, but quite honestly, that question's never been raised to me, and having come in with the seal having been used for decades, I assumed that was the official town seal, and I have treated it as such.
Does anybody have any evidence that it's not? Since we've represented it to be? I mean, I don't know if it was adopted 50 years ago, or...
Can we just simplify this and do a resolution that we adopt this as our official town seal and be done?
You certainly
Even if
can.
it already has been in the past?
It doesn't hurt to adopt it twice.
There you go.
I mean, we've got a color copy and a black and white, that's,
Put them on the next agenda for, it'll be a resolution, right?
Yes, it could be a resolution.
Done. And then under what circumstances could somebody be allowed to use the town seal?
When
And
the
who gives that, who has the authority to allow somebody to use the town seal?
The town council would give a direction on that, and then the clerk would implement it. That statute's a little, it's not as well worded as it should be. It's not like the
It's
town clerk
confusing.
has the authority to decide on behalf of the town who gets to use it.
Well,
No
that's
such
what
authority.
happened.
That's-
That's exactly what happened.
Well, but nobody has the right to use it until the council says somebody can use it. And no,
Right.
and to my knowledge, the council has never voted that the town seal can be used by particular people or for particular purposes, which leaves it totally within the control of the town itself and only to be used by the town and not individuals. You know, you can change that. You can change that if you wish to.
No, we'll leave it at that.
Leave it at that and let the council decide if anybody does request to use it.
So we
As-
would then need a process whereby if you want to use the town seal, you need to petition the council through the clerk to get on the agenda to have a resolution done.
And as long as they get those to the council in time for whatever they want to use it for.
I think it's the wrong message. I think it's wrong. I think the town seal should be protected, and I think it should only be used for town business on town letterhead, and that's my feeling with that. It shouldn't be used for anything else, the town seal. It never has. And when you try to use the town seal, the town clerk has always been protective of the town seal. It says it can only be used for certain things. In the past, that's what it's been. It wasn't used for private or any other businesses or personal or stuff. It was the town seal to be used only for town business.
Well, and by
That's my
statute,
impression.
it cannot be used by an individual without the permission of the town, and the town speaks through its council. So in the absence of this town council having granted the use of it by someone or for some purpose, no individual gets to decide they want to put this town seal on their, you know, on their personal letterhead or on a T-shirt or anything else. It's like the appropriation of someone's private property.
Shouldn't be a council decision, should be, it's not used.
Well, that,
No exceptions.
well, that's the, but that very, what you're saying, that is a council decision. Right now, in the absence of
I
the
understand what you're
council having
saying.
voted that it is allowed, it is not allowed.
I understand.
So we can have it as a resolution for next month, and then we'll vote on it.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
It's,
and clarify it.
You got that?
So
I mean, again, you can adopt it twice. I have to assume,
You do.
we have a town
resolutions?
seal that was
Yeah.
adopted by the town of Winslow
One to
at some
re-adopt
point
the
in the
seal.
past. We may not recognize it
adopt the
because it
seal.
happened so long ago, but if somebody was trying to claim we don't have a town seal, I would say the burden's upon them to establish that.
And one to adopt who has authority to grant use of it.
is that a
every letter
resolution
that-
or is that an order or an ordinance? If we're saying who has the authority to allow use of the town seal?
Well,
I mean, that's
actually, we
a
don't have to say, it is the town council that determines, and a silent council means no one has the right to do anything. But if there was if you decided to allow anyone running for town council to use the town seal on any of their advertisements, whether they be by paper or electronic, the town could so vote and do that. But absent that, for example, it can't be done.
So that has to be brought to council every time something, I'm sorry, should I? If someone is it a blanket statement or when someone wants to bring it to council, each time it comes to council?
The council would decide whether the council could, and I suppose the council could actually even pass an ordinance on the subject if it wanted to. But if somebody came and said, look, you know, for the 4th of July celebration, we're gonna advertise, and I'd like to use the town seal for that purpose, then the town council could say yes. And then for that 4th of July, advertisements for town 4th of July activities could have the town seal on it. And after the 4th of July is over, there's no more authority. So it can be structured in any number of ways. But right now, unless the council acts, there is no authority for anyone to appropriate the town seal for their own purposes.
But it's up to the council to grant that.
If it wants to,
If we
yes.
want.
Right, right.
Okay.
And it's a Class E crime if anybody decides to use it
Yeah.
without the town permission. So I wouldn't be, I'd be real careful. Don't start making T-shirts with an outline of the town seal and a picture of you in the middle of it, because I'd say you've appropriated the town seal. I've actually seen that before. And I said, they better get rid of those T-shirts.
All right, let's move on.
I'm still unsure what we're doing next month. Are we doing nothing?
We're
Are we-
gonna adopt the seal,
Okay.
okay?
You can if you want. I think,
We don't even know if it's ever been adopted. Let's re-adopt it.
well, okay,
So,
you-
it's on the books.
it can't hurt.
Right. So what if it's redundant?
If it's done, if it's
We're
just
just
it's
reinforcing.
twice, that's not a problem.
Okay.
So one resolution to adopt or re-adopt the
Yep.
town seal.
Adopt
Yep.
that.
And you have to have a representation of the town seal, so we know what it is we adopted.
Okay.
But so if a counselor wanted to conversely put forth a motion that the town seal is never used outside of town government, is that a resolution that you would put before council, or is it, again, is that an order, an ordinance? What is that?
And so.
So if we're given,
If there's gonna be a-
raised concern, if we wanted to put forth an order that said the town seal will never be used other than by officially sanctioned town departments and employees.
I'd probably say you do that as an ordinance, because that's a regulation of a
Right.
permanent nature. I'd also say I don't think you need to do it, because that is the status of the law right now. No one's allowed to do it, and it's backed up by criminal sanction, which is a lot more power than we have at the municipal level here. We don't have the power to pass an ordinance with criminal sanctions. We can pass an ordinance with civil sanctions, that is, an imposition of a fine, but the state statute makes it a Class E crime, which, believe it or not, can get you, 6 months in jail.
Yeah, we're safe on that. And if ever in the future, somebody comes to the Fort Halifax Days, 4th of July, as Bill talked about, wants to use it, the council makes that decision.
I'd keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah,
Council's in the driver's seat right now.
okay.
It's about time.
Okay, moving right along.
Signs on town-owned property. This is another Dale request.
Yeah, this.
That's yours, Dale.
Yeah, it's been my pet peeve forever. This is aimed more at political signs, but I think, Bill, if you check out the things of it, it has to apply to all signs. We can't just determine political signs.
You better be
Yeah,
careful about trying to regulate content, because you can't.
Yeah,
You
but we
can-
can go all, we can go all.
You can prohibit
Yeah.
signs on public property, and nobody can claim that their speech is being regulated, because you're not allowing it, period. But you can't decide you're gonna allow,
Yeah.
signs on it with a particular viewpoint, or a particular person, or something like that, but others are prohibited. Then you're in trouble.
So I am proposing that on all town-owned property, and just a quick list would be the town office, the schools, Monument Park on Monument Street, Halifax Hill, now that that bank with the cemetery's been taken care of, Halifax Street Park, the library, Public Works, the park on Clinton Avenue, the park on Norton Street, and Fort Halifax Park. I think that covers the most visible parts of town-owned property anyway.
So in the past, Monument Park has been the designated area where people can place signs.
No. The only designated part in the past was the entrance to Fort Halifax Park, out by the road. Inside, no. It's never been allowed at Monument Park.
I thought that was switched the year I got here, because that was an election year. That was 2020. Because there was, again, a big to-do about political signs, because they were everywhere.
That's the least place.
And Paul went and pulled them all. I thought, I could have sworn it was Monument Park, but again,
Yeah,
he
Paul
said.
pulled them because they weren't supposed to be there.
Right.
And that
But they said there was
probably-
one area we could put them. I didn't think it was Fort Halifax.
It was
but-
the entryway to Fort Halifax Park, I think, Ray, wasn't it?
Oh, God, I can't remember. I just don't remember.
So what is your, what do you want to
Proposal
do?
to ban all signs, not just political signs, from those town-owned properties. And it's also incumbent in the law, as you can say, that if somebody wants to put a sign somewhere, the burden is on them to make sure that the sign is being put in a place where they can legally put it.
May I say something? What is town-owned property? Where does it stop? Where does it start?
It's town-owned property, Jerry. It's up to whoever wants to put a sign up. It's up to them to take the initiative to
So
find out
then-
where the boundary lines are of our town-owned property. Most of it's along the roads, anyway.
I was gonna say, what about the right-of-ways?
The right-of-ways is a town-owned right-of-way, town-owned property.
Correct, except for in some cases it's
State aid
MDOT.
highways.
But, yeah,
Legally, a right-of-way is not owned by the town.
Not the right-of-way, the land underneath it is.
It's owned by the property owner.
Oh, yes,
It's
yes,
a given right-of-way.
yes. And if it's the town that owns the property, then it's the town right-of-way.
Right. I mean, like Memorial, what's the little park on top of Monument Park, or whatever you want to call
Monument
that?
Park.
That's deeded to the town, so I would assume the town owns to the center of the road in every direction,
Correct,
just as you do in front of your house.
yes.
No, yours is a state road. You may not own
No, I don't.
The actual ownership of roads is a gray area a lot of times. I mean, you have things that were put in a long time ago, and our right may have been just a prescriptive right, because we've used it continuously for an extended period of time. And if you did some title search and went way back, you might find we actually don't own it, but we have a prescriptive right to
Correct.
use that traveled way. And so the ownership issue regarding roads can be complicated.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have to go dig in to find out, you don't want it.
Right. So, what do we want to do here? We still have an executive session, guys.
I just propose that those things I listed, and I can come out and put it in writing, that those locations, no signs.
Just in those locations?
And we'll
or-
put that on on the agenda for next month.
Put that down.
Might you want to circulate that to other counselors and see what, and so everybody would know exactly what they are? Because they're going to have to be specifically defined. I mean, the town property on such and such a street would have to be very clearly defined, so there's no vagary.
Yeah, well, we'll work on that, but as long as we get it in principle, then we'll get it.
Why
Yes,
wouldn't you
Peter.
just, Dale, why wouldn't you just do all town property? I mean, you probably just said 90% of the town property there.
Well, if you want
It
to go
would
with
be
all
easy.
town property, that's
I
fine.
mean, it would be
But
simply,
we've got town property out at the town forest. We're gonna go out there, that far out? Now, if you want to, Rocky, I'd be more than happy.
well, no, I'm just trying to
Add
simplify
the town
things.
forest to that.
I would agree with Rocky, do it on all town property.
makes it more simple.
It makes it
Yeah.
so much more simple.
Okay,
Be done.
that's fine with me.
Peter, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Question, when you say signs, you have an electronic sign in town office, we have electronic
Yeah.
signs at school advertising certain things, open house.
Yeah.
They gotta
That's
go.
town sponsored.
They gotta go.
Parent teacher conference, we advertise things through those electronic signs, it's a very effective way of communicating.
But it's a
we can
town-owned
exclude those.
sign by on town-owned property,
I'm sorry.
okay? It's a town-owned sign on town-owned property. Big difference as somebody putting signs out advertising a yard sale or political signs. Big difference. You're entitled to do what you want on your own property.
And we can work on the specifics between now and
Yeah.
when we get it on.
So you're saying all political signs, town council, state representative,
All-
senate,
all signs,
president, everything,
All
Right.
signs, period.
everything.
Mhm.
I think it's worth, from a legal standpoint, taking a close look at this, because there may be some issues.
Yeah, there's a DOT.
I don't want to just off the top of my head start saying a
There's
bunch of things.
If I can find the bill, there's a DOT memo on all of that.
And I think you've got some public property that you have at least informally allowed as a public forum for a long period of time, and that can raise an issue as well. I'm not gonna off the top of my head here start making First Amendment pronouncements.
Can we just look into
It's
this
called,
deeper?
let's go slow and get it right, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Come on, Bill.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's not like the house is burning down here, okay?
No, you're right.
Okay, so as an action item, who is doing further research on this? Just because I don't want it to come July and we don't know what our next step is.
Well,
Is it
I,
Dale, or
yeah, I
is
can
it-
look at, I can do it.
Do you want me to take a look at this issue?
Yeah.
And can we determine what action, if anything, we've taken in the past? Because I remember hearing a couple of years ago that, I thought it was Monument Park. They've been generally accepted for a long period of time as where signs could be put.
That's right, that was Erica's first year.
And,
they were taken down.
but generally speaking, we weren't allowing them elsewhere. For example, you couldn't stick them in front of Town Hall.
That's state law.
And Town Hall also qualifies as a polling location because we do absentee voting there. So there's another rule that, as far as political signs anyway, that
Right.
we couldn't do it there anyway, regardless of what the council does. But-
And on the front lawn of your school, Peter, up there, they wouldn't be allowed.
But I guess to Peter's point, looking into what types of signs, do we mean everything? Do we mean, and I do think there's a specific difference. When you talk about the sign that's owned by the school, it's in front of the school, it's the same as the one that's in front of the town. Those are signs that actually require permits to put up. They are not the same as the person putting a lawn sign out.
No, they're your property. It's your sign, your property.
So,
Well, you call that a permanent sign?
People tack garage sale signs on telephone poles.
yeah.
I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes on out there, and I don't know that people want to see that eliminated, but
Okay.
that's something, that's why I'm just suggesting not to rush, because there are all different sorts of angles to this issue.
Make a motion to go into executive session.
We have an executive session, motion to enter.
And is that pursuant to 1 MRSA, Section 405, subsection 6E?
That one, yes.
Yes, to consult with legal counsel regarding rights and